schooner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's going
Schooner.
on?
Schooner.
I laugh every time I hear schooner.
Schooner.
Well,
Schooner.
Every time.
Well, the good thing is I did a poll and on not like
Yeah,
that.
you did.
Did you
I
come
don't
down?
wanna
Burn that
I don't
poll
wanna
up.
interrupt your poll.
I ran out of ones. Oh, that poll. Oh.
Yeah, that poll.
All right. I was thinking of the other one.
I ran one just on my channel, and then I also ran one in chat. And by overwhelming desire, it was George Orwell.
Very
So
nice.
we've got
Very
either
nice.
1984 or Animal Farm, and I'm gonna let my panel decide.
I'm leaning towards Animal Farm personally, but
That'd be fine. That's fine with me.
I don't care.
And Juval Storm,
Yeah, we'll do Animal Farm. Let's go.
Yeah.
Animal Farm. All right.
No.
Let me go ahead and pull that thing up. Close this tab, close current tab. Boom. There we go. And give me a second. It'll pull that one up here shortly. And I've got it. I found a way of doing this because that white just really bothers my eyes.
oh, that's what happens when you get older, honey. It's nothing to be ashamed of, especially if you got stigmatism and rheumatism.
Rheumatism.
And alcoholism.
Well, that's only on days. Why? Man. Right.
I
So
find
what-
if you take that little blue pill, it makes your eyesight harder.
I don't think that's how you're supposed
Oh,
to
it's
use
not.
it.
I don't think that's how that
No,
works.
No.
no, honey, it ain't.
Alright. And transfer colors. Okay. And then hit OK, and it should change everything. It'll take just a second, is it? Because that white, I found that if you use just a slight bit of a yellow to it, it doesn't hurt your eyes as much. And it also looks like somebody peed on it.
You got us reading old timey papers.
It's a historical document.
Yeah,
Somebody's
there you
peed
go.
on it.
That's
Mhm.
right.
Yeah. Well, nothing's
Somebody left that
square.
outside.
Yeah.
Close that there. And then we'll close this over here. Why is that doing it? Okay, there we go. Mr. Jones. All right. There it is. See?
Oh, okay, yeah.
There you go.
That's what you're
See,
talking
it's
about.
easier on the eyes. By the way, chat, good to see you. Good to see all of you. Glad to see that you're here and chilling out tonight. Teresa Finn, TJ Finn, she hasn't, her book isn't available yet. That was the plan. So this was spur of the moment.
I
Just
think
contact
it's
the author.
Oh,
I should.
Get it to us, lady.
Freaking dropping the ball
Why you
again.
torture us? You torture us. So it's okay. I mean, we're anxious for it because we got to get down and dirty. But I think Diva's very happy that you guys did not pick Winnie the Pooh because that was one of her childhood friends.
Christopher Robin, what are you doing in that honey pot?
Me too scarring.
Didn't no. You know what's bad? Okay, here's a confession. This is so
Oh, no.
I was like, Miss Nocturna, she's like, do you know that there are books out there where people read them? They're sensual books. And so they have the full sound effects and everything. I was like, you're kidding. She's like, no, it's out there. So I tried to find one. It was on Spotify because it's free. And so I pull it up and I'm like, oh, that's disgusting. Ew. I couldn't listen to it. I was like, no, couldn't do it.
You couldn't.
No,
Diva can't do ASMR.
I could not those sounds. No.
So have you ever heard of James Hance?
No.
Yes.
Okay. You've heard of James Hance. He's an
Yeah.
artist. Okay. and I'm gonna show this guy to you guys because it's pretty damn cool. Give me a second. I'll have to do this the hard way. The hard way. Over to
The Cialis way.
present screen. Oh, damn it. Share screen. All right, here we go. So James Hans made this thing right here. It's
Oh,
called,
those are cute.
and if you look, damn it, he does things like this.
Yeah, okay, I've seen
so
that.
cute.
I've seen his
So
work.
he makes Han Solo, and then you've got the Wookiee, the Chew, and then Eeyore, which is a tat-tat.
That's cute.
So he makes stuff like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like
And
that.
yeah, no, and they're very fun.
Those
He
are
does
cute.
like Calvin and Hobbes stuff.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so my wife and I went to an art gallery with him, and he was presenting. He's from England, or Australia, one of those countries where they talk with marbles in their mouth or something.
One of them foreign countries.
One of the foreign countries, somewhere they're located somewhere in Ohio or something like that. And so we got a first shot. They had stuff like what was that thing with the Beatles, or I think it was the Beatles, where he was holding a flower or something like that, and there's a butterfly landing on his hand or something like this. So he did one of like a stormtrooper that was like,
Oh, okay.
butterfly.
Okay.
Cute.
Pretty cool. He like awesome artist. It's definitely no electile dysfunction here. I love it. So yeah, that was James Hans, and you know, whenever you see the books, he's written several books, and it's all about, you know, the Han Solo Robinson or something like that.
Oh, that's a cute little spin. I like that.
Oh yeah, and they're all fun. I mean, they're palatable for kids. So if you were looking for those things, you would go, oh yeah, my kids could read this and have a little bit of fun with them. They're not like dirty or perverted.
Oh, thank
If
God.
we read them, they probably would.
They probably would be.
You just can't help it.
No.
And there was Pooh again in that honey tree, stuck in that vulnerable position.
Tell him, Red.
While Andy just stood by and watched. Oh, Andy Dufresne.
Neighbor borrowed my hammer. Okay.
He borrowed your hammer. Oh my.
Chapter 1. Mr. Jones of the Manor Farm had locked the hen houses for the night, but was too drunk to remember to shut the poop holes.
That's how I read it too.
Pop holes. Sorry. With the ring of light from his lantern dancing from side to side, he lurched across the yard, kicked off his boots at the back door, drew himself a last glass of beer from the barrel, kicked off the scullery, and made his way up to bed where Mrs. Jones and me were already laying, snoring.
That's when you hit them when they're snoring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you'll never see this coming.
Oh, I can do those snores or sounds.
As soon as
Almost
the
like a
light in the
Chewbacca.
bedroom went out, there was a stirring and a fluttering all through the farm buildings. Word had gone round during the day that old Major, the prized middle white boar, had a strange dream on the previous night and wished to communicate it to the other animals. It had been agreed upon that they should all meet in the big barn as soon as Mr. Jones was safely out of the way. Old Major, so he was always called, though the name under which he had been exhibited was Willingdon Beauty, was so highly regarded.
Pretty pig right there.
That's gonna make some good sausage right there.
Making bacon.
Bacon. He was so highly regarded on the farm that everybody was quite ready to lose an hour's sleep in order to hear what he had to say. He's a smart and At the end of the big barn, under a sort of raised platform, Major was already ensconced on his bed of straw under a lantern which hung from a beam. He was 12 years old and had lately grown rather stout, or that ass, but he was still a majestic-looking pig, with a wise and benevolent appearance in spite of the fact that his tushes had never been cut.
Ew.
Tushes.
Look like two pigs fighting over milk dud in there.
You know that stuff gets stuck in your fur, right?
You just scrub that right on out of there. You know, there's a reason why they
Don't cut it. It don't come out. You got to cut it.
Oh. Before long, the other animals began to arrive and make themselves comfortable after their different fashions. First came the 3 dogs, Bluebell, Jessie, and Pincher, and then the pigs, who settled down in the straw immediately in front of the platform. The hens perched themselves on the windowsills, the pigeons fluttered up to the rafters, the sheep and the cows lay down behind the pigs and began to chew the cud. The 2 cart horses, Boxer and Clover, came in together, walking very slowly and setting down their vast hairy hooves, it's scary, with great care lest there should be some small animal concealed in the straw. And Clover was a stout motherly mare, approaching middle life, who had never quite got her figure back after her 4th foal.
I know what happens.
Clover's a MILF.
Clover is she's a good, steady woman.
Yeah.
That's right.
She's
got a little punch on her, but damn, she looked good. Yeah.
Damn, I mean, you know, after if you just hit it once, you can just keep hitting it because she's available. One,
she
of
knows
course,
how to do
Boxer, but you know why? Because Boxer was an enormous beast, nearly 18 inches.
Hands.
18 hands high. Oh, so you needed 18 hands to hold that thing.
He's a big, strong horse.
That's a big boy.
Well, he's as strong as 2 ordinary horses put together. He'd just lift you right up with that thing.
Thrown like bull.
Like bull. A white stripe down his nose gave him a somewhat stupid appearance. In fact, he was not the first rate of intelligence, but he was universally respected for his steadiness of character and tremendous powers of work.
Yeah.
After the horses came Muriel, the white goat, and Benjamin, the donkey. The donkey. Gotta have an ass in there.
Always the
Benjamin
donkey.
was the oldest animal on the farm and the worst tempered. Well, I don't blame him. If you had to be an ass, wouldn't you have a temper? He seldom talked.
If you had to share a barn with them people, you'd be an ass too. I'm just saying.
I would too. He was when he talked, it was usually to make some cynical remark. For instance, he would say that God had given him a tail to keep the flies off, but he would have sooner had no tail and no flies. I agree with him. Alone among the animals on the farm, he never laughed. If he asked why, he would say that he saw nothing to laugh at. True. No, nevertheless, without openly admitting, he was devoted to Boxer. The 2 of them usually spent their Sundays together in the small paddock beyond the orchard, just grazing side by side and never talking. Because that would be weird. 2 horses had just lain down when a brood of ducklings, which had lost their mother, filed into the barn, and they were cheeping feebly and wandering from side to side to find some place where they could not be trodden upon. Clover made a sort of wall around them with her great foreleg, and the ducklings nestled down inside it, promptly fell asleep. At the last moment, Molly, the foolish, pretty white mare who drew Mr. Jones's trap, came mincing daintily in, chewing at a lump of sugar. She took a place near the front and began flirting her white mane, hoping to draw attention to the red ribbons it was plated with. Last of all came the cat, who looked around as usual for the warmest place, and finally squeezed herself in between Boxer and Clover. There she purred contentedly throughout Major's speech without listening to a word of what he was saying. All the animals were now present except for Moses, the tame raven who slept on the perch behind the back door. When Major saw that they had made themselves comfortable behind the back door, Major saw that they had all made themselves comfortable, They were waiting attentively. He cleared his throat and began. It sounded a lot like Yamaha.
What? Oh, very well. So, all right then. Should probably do this in a dignified way.
Yes.
I doubt it.
Yes.
Yes.
I doubt it.
Well, I was comrades, you have heard already about the strange dream that I had last night. But I will come to the dream later. I have something else to say first. I do not think, comrades, that I shall be with you for many months longer. And before I die, I feel it my duty to push Dumbledore from... Oh, no, wait, no, that's the wrong one. Pass on to you such wisdom as I have acquired. I've had a long life. I've had much time for thoughts. As I lay alone in my stall, and I think I may say that I understand the nature of life on this earth, as well as any animal now living, it is about this that I wish to speak to you. Now, comrades, what is the nature of this life of ours? Let us face it, our lives are miserable, laborious, and short. We are born, we are given so much food as will keep the breath in our bodies. And those of us who are capable of it are forced to work to the last atom of our strength. And the very instant that our usefulness has come to an end, we are turned into glue with hideous cruelty. No animal in England knows the meaning of happiness or leisure after he is a year old. No animal in England is free. The life of an animal is misery and slavery. That is the plain truth.
Who wrote this? Kurt Cobain? Dear Lord. I had enough of this in the 90s.
This is like the Catcher in the Rye for animals.
Yeah, no joke.
But is this simply part of the order of nature? It is because this land of ours is so poor that it cannot afford a decent life to those who dwell upon it. No, comrades, 1,000 times no. The soil of England is fertile. Its climate is good. It's a floating rock. It is capable of affording food in abundance to an enormously greater number of animals than now inhabit it. This single farm of ours would support a dozen horses, 20 cows, hundreds of sheep. In other words, a place where Valhalla lives. And all of them living in a comfort and dignity that are now almost beyond our imagining. Why then do we continue in this miserable condition? Because nearly the whole of the produce of our labor is stolen from us by human beings.
Bastards.
Wenches. There, comrades, is the answer to our problems. It is summed up in a single word. Man. Man is the only real enemy we have. Remove man from the scene, and the root cause of hunger, overwork, is abolished forever. God, this guy's a long-winded little fart.
He's a very,
He's a wise old pig.
yeah.
Excuse me, sir, but we don't have thumbs.
I would never let bacon talk to me this long.
Oh, hell
Man
no.
is the only creature that consumes without producing. He does not give milk. What? He does not lay eggs.
Not true.
What?
It's not true. They
He
give
is
milk.
weak to pull the plow. He cannot run fast enough to catch rabbits. Yet he is the lord of all the animals. He has set them to work. He gives back to them bare minimum that will prevent them from starving. And the rest he keeps for himself. Our labors tills the soil. Our shit fertilizes it. And yet there is not one of us that earns more than his bare skin. 8 cows that I see before me How many thousands of gallons of milk have you given during this year? And what happened to the milk which should have been breeding up sturdy calves? Every drop of it is gone down the throats of our enemies. And you hens, how many eggs have you laid in last year? And how many of those eggs ever hatched into chickens? The rest have all gone to market to bring in money for Jones and his men. And you, Clover, where are those 4 fowls you bore? You should have been the support and pleasure of your old age. What? Okay, whatever. Each was sold at a year old. You will never see one of them again. In return for your 4 confinements and all your labors in the fields, what have you ever had except your bare rations and a stall? I think I'm done reading. This guy is fucking long-winded. What the hell, man?
Take
got a lot
a
of
breath,
words.
you fat turd.
Bitch.
Oh, my poor life. My aching ass.
You lucky you ain't on my
Jesus.
table.
What the
Mm-hmm.
hell?
He should have gotten to that pig a few years ago.
Would you want me to take over for a little bit there for you? Yamaha.
Digger, Joe.
I don't care. Diva can go on. I don't care. However you want to do it.
Yeah, the
Diva.
pig can be female for a little bit. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might as well be a trans pig.
Yeah.
It's a trans
and
pig now.
I know what voice you could use.
Which one? Oh, your favorite
Yes.
one? Oh,
No,
you
no, no,
love
no.
this one, don't you?
No, Kate Winslet.
Oh,
Yes.
happy. Yes, of course.
Yes, of course.
And even the miserable lives we lead are not allowed to reach their natural span. For myself, I do not grumble, for I am one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, you are.
I am
Lucky not
12.
bacon.
I am 12 years old and have had over 400 children. Such is the natural life of a pig. But no animal escapes the cruel knife in the end. You young porkers who are sitting in front of me, every one of you,
Get off your ass and run.
every one of you will scream your lives out at the block within a year. To that whore we must all come. Cows, pigs, hens, sheep, everyone. Even the horses and the dogs have no better fate. You, boxer, the very day that those great muscles of yours lose their power, Jones will sell you to the knacker, who will cut your throat and boil you down for foxhounds. And as for the dogs, when they grow old and toothless, Jones ties a brick round their necks and drowns them in the nearest pond.
I'm
What's
still
sick
stuck.
bastard?
I'm still
that's
stuck on
messed
to that
up.
whore. We must all come.
Did I say that? Whore? to
that
that whore.
We
To
must
that
all
whore.
come.
Oh my. Is it not crystal clear then, comrades, that all of the evils of this life of ours spring from the tyranny of human beings? Only get rid of man, and the produce of our labor would be our own. Almost overnight, we could become rich and free. What then must we do? Why, work night and day, body and soul, for the overthrow of the human race. That is my message to you, comrades. Rebellion.
Rebellion!
I do not know when that rebellion will come. It might be in a week or 100 years, but I do know, as surely as I see this straw beneath my feet, that sooner or later justice will be done. Fix your eyes on that, comrades, throughout this short remainder of your lives. And above all, pass on this message of mine to those who come after you, so that future generations shall carry on the struggle until it is victorious.
This sounds like the blubbering of the fry cook wanting to take over the entire McDonald's.
Yeah. I love those guys.
I did want McDonald's the other day, and specifically fries. Anyway.
I know, baby. I know.
Yeah. And remember, comrades, your resolution must never falter. No argument must lead you astray. Never listen when they tell you that man and the animals have a common interest, that the prosperity of one is the prosperity of the others. It is all lies. Man serves the interest of no creature except himself. And among us all, let there be perfect unity, perfect comradeship in the struggle.
It's all a
All
struggle.
men are enemies. All animals are comrades.
Oh, even the stupid ones. At this moment, there was a tremendous uproar. While Major was speaking, 4 large rats had crept out of their holes and were sitting on their hindquarters listening to him. The dogs had suddenly caught sight of them, and it was only by a swift dash for their holes that the rats saved their lives. Major raised his trotter for silence. Go ahead.
Oh, can I speak now? Thanks.
Yeah.
No, comrade. It
Do
was
it.
not your time, comrade.
Comrades, he said, here is a point that must be settled. The wild creatures, such as rats and rabbits, are our friends or our enemies. Who knows? Let us put it to a vote. I propose this question to the meeting. Are rats comrades? Or do they need some pudding pops? The vote was taken at once, and it was agreed by an overwhelming majority that rats were comrades.
Oh, wow.
There were only 4 dissensions. The 3 dogs, and of course the cat, who wants to eat them little motherfuckers. Who was afterwards discovered to have voted on both sides. Must be a Democrat. I have little more to say. I merely repeat, remember always your duty of enmity towards man in all his ways. Whatever goes upon 2 legs. Whatever has 2 legs. Anyway. Whatever goes on 4 legs, well, is a whore. Or has wings, both are friends. And remember also that in fighting against man, we must not come to resemble him. Even when you have conquered him, do not adopt his vices. No animal must ever live in a house, sleep in a bed, wear clothes, drink alcohol, smoke tobacco, touch money, engage in trade, hand out pudding pops. I mean, the list goes on and on. All of the habits of man are evil. And above all, no animal must ever tyrannize over his own kind. Not sure if that's a word. Weak or strong, clever or simple, we are all brothers. No animal must ever kill any other animal. All animals are equal, says the prey species.
Yeah. Wait
You'll
till
hear a
Pig gets
bear
in
saying that
charge.
shit.
Yeah.
Bear's like, bitch, you're
Until
dead.
I'm in charge, and then everything will be different.
And now, comrades, I will tell you about my dream of last night. I cannot describe that dream to you. It was a dream of the earth, as it will be when man has vanished. It reminded me of something I had long forgotten. Many years ago, when I was a little porker, my mother and other sows used to sing an old song of which they knew only the tune and the first 3 words. I had known that tune in my infancy, but then it had long since passed out of my mind. Last night, however, it came back to me in a dream. And what is more, the words of the song also came back. Words, I am certain, which were sung by animals of long ago and have been lost to memory for generations. I will sing that song now, comrades. I'm old and my voice is hoarse, but when I have taught you the tune, you can sing it better for yourselves. It is called Beasts of Burden by the Rolling Stones. No, wait, that's not what this is. It is called Beasts of England. Old Major cleared his throat and began to sing. As he had said, his voice was hoarse, but he sang well enough, and it was a stirring tune, something between Clementine and La Cucaracha. The words ran,
Beast of England, beast of heaven, beast of every land and clime, hearken to my doleful tidings of the golden future time.
I feel like I need pom poms to be sure.
right?
Sooner or later, down is coming. Tyrant man shall be everything. And the cheerful field of England shall be tried by beasts alone.
Hark the herald.
Sorry, that was the melody. That was the melody that went into my head when I was.
It's perfect.
It fits.
Names shall vanish from our noses, and the harness from our back. Beer and special rise forever. Crew whips no more shall crack. Riches more than man can picture. Wheat and barley, oats and hay. Lava beads and mega words shall be ours upon the day. Bright was shine the feet of evening, pure shall its waters be. Sweeter yet shall blow its breezes on the day that sets us free. For that day we almost live. Do we die before it breaks? Causing horses, geese, and turkey almost die for freedom's sake. Beasts of England, beasts of Ireland, beasts of every land and clan. I can wear and spend my time in the golden future.
That was the best South Park Christmas
Howdy ho!
Don't forget to bring a towel. The singing of this song threw the animals into the wildest excitement. Almost before Major had reached the end, they had begun singing it for themselves. Even the dumbasses among them had already picked up the tune and a few of the words, much like pop culture is now. As for the clever ones, such as the pigs and the dogs, they had the entire song by heart within a few minutes. And then, after a few preliminary tries, the whole farm burst out into Beasts of England in tremendous unison. The cows lowed it. The dogs whined it. The sheep bleated it. The horses whinnied it. The ducks quacked it. Where's Bad Duck when you need him? They were so delighted with the song that they sang it right through 5 times in succession. Dear God, how could you do that? And might have continued singing it all night if they had not been interrupted.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Unfortunately, the uproar awoke Mr. Jones, who sprang out of bed with his shotgun.
Slaughtered them all.
Kill them all! Making sure that there was a fox in the yard. He seized the gun, which had always stood in the corner of his bedroom, and let fly a charge of number 6 shot into the darkness. The pellets buried themselves in the wall of the barn, telling them little motherfuckers to shut up. And the meeting broke up hurriedly. Everyone fled to his own sleeping place. The birds jumped on their perches. The animals settled down on the straw, and the whole farm was asleep in a moment. And this is why you're not in charge.
Because we just like to sing all night long.
Bang!
My animal
Shut
is
up.
possessed.
Shut the up!
Hey guys, I'm good to see you. Get off my lawn. Chapter 2. Well, 3 nights later, old Major died peacefully in his sleep. Oh, thank God. His
Bacon!
His body was buried at the foot of the orchard. What was left after they chopped him into bacon pits?
Well, his body was buried in a pile of hot coals, and then they put banana leaves on top of it, and then they ate him a day later.
Major was good. I don't know. That might have been some bitter meat.
Yeah.
This was early in March. Well, and during the next 3 months, there was much secret activity. Major's speech had given the more intelligent animals on the farm a completely new outlook on life. They did not know when the rebellion predicted by Major would take place. They had no reason for thinking that it would be within their own lifetime, but they saw clearly that there was their duty to prepare for it. Preppers,
That's right.
The work and teaching of others, organizing the others, fell naturally upon the pigs, who were generally recognized as being the cleverest of animals. Right.
I got this pile of horse shit just sitting over here, just waiting. Just waiting.
What do they know? They're just out there sniffing shrooms.
Preeminent among the pigs were 2 young boars named Snowball and Napoleon. Mr. Jones was breeding up for sale. Napoleon, well, he was a rather large, fierce-looking Berkshire boar, and the only Berkshire on the farm. Not much of a talker, but with a reputation for getting his own way, like a bitchy little. Snowball was a little more of a snowflake, a vivacious pig than Napoleon, quicker in speech.
Hi.
How you doing? But was not considered to have the same depth of character. All the other male pigs on the farm were porkers. The best known among them was a small, fat pig named Squealer, like a pig, with very round cheeks. I bet they were. Twinkling eyes. I bet they were. Nimble movements and a shrill voice.
Come here, Squealer. I need to talk to you.
Well, I'll be there in a second. Just mind my business. I've got it. And he was a brilliant talker. And when he was arguing some difficult point, he had a way of skipping from side to side, whisking his tail, which was somehow very persuasive. The others said of Squealer that he could turn black into white. These 3 had elaborated old Major's teaching into a complete system of thought, to which they gave the name of animalism.
Wait, that's something else.
I thought that was something totally different.
Shh. Don't talk about that here.
And the kids
were
read
not
this book.
furries. Several nights a week after Mr. Jones was asleep, they held secret meetings in the barn and expounded on the principles of animalism to others. At the beginning, they met with much stupidity and apathy. Some of the animals talked of the loyalty to Mr. Jones, who they referred to as Master, or made elementary remarks such as, Mr. Jones, he feeds us. If he were gone, we would starve to death. Others asked questions as to,
why should we care what happens after we are dead?
Or,
if this rebellion is to happen anyway, what's the difference? Does it make whether we work for it or not?
The pigs had great difficulty in making them see that this was contrary to the spirit of animalism. The stupidest questions of all were asked by Molly, the white mare. The very first question she asked Snowball was, will there be sugar after rebellion?
It's always the middle
No.
class white women.
Always.
Now,
Look at my
said
sugar.
Cornball firmly. We have no means of making sugar on this farm. Besides, you do not need sugar. You will have all the oats and the hay that you want. And I shall not be allowed to wear any ribbons in my name? Asked Molly. Comrade, said Snowball, those ribbons that you are so devoted to are the badge of slavery. Can you not understand that liberty is worth more than ribbons? Molly agreed, but she did not sound very convinced. The pigs had an even harder struggle to counteract the lies put about by Moses, the tame raven. Moses, who was Mr. Jones' especial pet, was a spy and a talebearer, but he was also a very clever talker. He claimed to know the existence of a mysterious country called Sugar Candy Mountain, to which all animals went when they died. It was situated somewhere up in the sky, a little distance beyond the clouds, Moses said. In Sugar Candy Mountain, it was Sunday, 7 days a week. Clover was in season all year round, and the lump sugar and linseed cakes grew on the hedges. The animals, they really hated Moses because he told tales and did no work, but some of them believed in Sugar Candy Mountain, and the pigs had to argue very hard to persuade them that there was no such place.
He does a lot
He's
of
out
work.
there
He
by
can't-
that famous farm. That's where all the animals go. He went to the farm.
Hey. He does
Daddy,
a lot of
where'd
work.
Spot go.
He has to carry the souls of the dead.
Yeah. True.
Ain't you ever seen The Crow? Come on.
Have you ever tried to carry the soul of a dead pig? God bless America. That thing is heavy.
God.
He's sitting there
Heavy.
struggling.
Where'd my wing out?
Couldn't you? That ain't all he blew out. He's probably picking it up so hard, blew it. Never mind. The most faithful disciples were the two cart horses, Boxer and Clover. These two had great difficulty in thinking out for themselves, but having once accepted the pigs as their teachers, they absorbed everything that they were told and passed it on to the other animals by simple arguments. They were unfailing in their attendance at the secret meetings in the barn and led the singing of the beasts of England, which was how the meetings always ended. Now, as it turned out, the rebellion was achieved much earlier and more easily than anyone had ever expected in past years. Mr. Jones, although a hard master, had been a capable farmer, but of late he had fallen on evil days. He had become much disheartened after losing money in a lawsuit. Sounds like he went up against Lynette, and had taken to drinking more than was good for him. For whole days at a time, he would lounge in his Windsor chair in the kitchen, reading the newspapers, drinking, and occasionally feeding Moses on crusts of bread soaked in beer. His men were idle and dishonest. The fields were full of weeds. The buildings wanted roofing. The hedges were neglected, and the animals were underfed.
Did you say roofied?
Yeah, they were roofied.
Roofied.
Oh, cool.
Roofied.
Build
And I
it
mean,
out
if
there.
you're
So they did receive their daily allowance of the pudding pops.
well, if you are going to get roofied, there's only one way to get roofied, and that's I missed. She was here for a second. Miss Nocturna was here, and then she disappeared.
That's why you did that.
Doggone it. Well,
Maybe
I'll
you hit too close to home there, Shiz.
maybe something like this.
I love this.
This is so funny. Just like they're like kiss cam, and he's just like, that's my sister, dude. It's not gonna happen. Welcome back, Miss Nocturna.
Shiz.
Hey,
Miss Nocturna.
Hey.
Hi.
What's going
Hey.
on?
Hey, girl.
I'm sorry I'm late, guys. It's
No, you're here on time.
Yeah.
You
All right.
came
You're
just
here
in time.
right when you need to be, man.
all right.
Exactly.
All right.
And I'll let y'all know. I have a story to take
No.
over for a bit here.
Okay.
June came, and the hay was almost ready for cutting. On Midsummer's Eve, which was a Saturday, Mr. Jones went into Wellington and got so drunk at the Red Lion that he did not come back until midday on Sunday. The men had milked the cows in the early morning and then had gone out rabbiting, without bothering to feed the animals. When Mr. Jones got back, he immediately went to sleep on the drawing-room sofa with the news of the world over his face, so that when evening came, the animals were still unfed. At last, they could stand it no longer. One of the cows broke in the door of the store shed with her horn, and all the animals began to help themselves from the bins. It was just then that Mr. Jones woke up, his asshole swollen and sore. The next moment, he and his 4 men were in the store shed with whips and chains and batteries and jumper cables and all baldos in their hands, lashing out in all directions, poking and prodding and, anything with a heartbeat. This was more than the hungry animals could bear. With one accord, though nothing of the kind had been planned before, they flung themselves upon their tormentors. Jones and his men suddenly found themselves being butted and kicked and cornholed and everything else in between. The situation was quite out of their control. They had never seen animals behave like this before, and all while doing it raw dog and no lube. And this sudden uprising of creatures whom they were used to thrashing and maltreating just as they chose frightened them almost out of their wits. After only a moment or two, they gave up trying to defend themselves and just took it like men in the ass, and took to their heels. A minute later, all 5 of them were in full flight down the cart track that led to the main road, with the animals pursuing them in triumph. Mrs. Jones looked out of the bedroom window and wondered, how did I miss out on that? And saw what was happening, hurriedly flung a few possessions into a carpet bag, quickly trying to join the escapade and the Pall Mall that was happening, and slipped out of the farm by another way, hoping to catch them off at the pass and get in some of that good lovin'. Moses sprang off his perch and flapped after her, croaking loudly. Meanwhile, the animals had chased Jones and his men out onto the road and slammed the 5 barred gates behind them. And so, almost before they knew what was happening, the rebellion had been successfully carried through. Jones was expelled, and the manor farm was theirs.
Dun, dun, dun.
Wow.
Stuff to smell like bacon in here.
Man, all I'm saying is it sounds a little bit like, sounds like the summer of love.
I know.
It's something, guys.
Look, we took over this part of the city. We're gonna throw down some plastic and we're gonna grow plants.
Oh, it's
It's
Seattle.
all Brokeback Mountain up in here.
It's Seattle. The ALM. The animal lives matter.
Animal lives matter.
No.
We promised dino nuggets. Damn, slug. Dino nuggets.
Yeah. What was that? I had that part.
Oh no, he just it's like said we promised dino nuggets.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
All right. Yeah, do you, Diva? Are you there? Do you wanna read,
I
or do you
am.
want
I'm
me to
back. I'm back now.
okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Now,
Sorry.
do you want to continue on from here, or do you want me to read?
Distracted.
Yeah.
Well, like my eye has got something. I got floaters in my eyes, and I couldn't see, so I went to the.
It's not my fault, I swear.
Well, that's
Well, I don't
fine.
know. You were off camera also, so I'm just saying. I don't know.
Oh, get it off my face. Oh. A little pink eye, quote. Yeah, okay.
My eyes glued shut. Oh.
I promise it's pink eye, guys. Yeah.
It's all sticky.
I could
and
have swore Ball was there the whole time, but
I don't know. It just suddenly appeared.
Oh my gosh! Oh
Came
my
out of
gosh!
nowhere.
Always
You guys.
thought.
You guys are so funny. Okay. All right, I'm ready. I'm ready for this. Promise.
Yeah. Mhm.
For the first few minutes, the animals could hardly believe their good fortune. Their first act was to gallop in a body round the boundaries of the farm, as though to make quite sure that no human being was hiding anywhere upon it. Then they raced back to the farm buildings to wipe out the last traces of Jones's hated rain. Oh, he was such a bad man. The harness room at the end of the stables was broken open. The bits, the nose rings, the dog chains, the cruel knives.
The cock rings, the baldos.
Wait, I swear I've been here.
The...
I'm having flashbacks.
With which Mr. Jones had used to castrate the pigs and the lambs were all flung down the well. The reins, the halters, the blinkers, the degrading the nose bags were thrown to the rubbish fire which was burning in the yard. So were the whips. Oh, that's a shame right there.
Oh, that's terrible.
It's terrible.
All the animals capered with joy when they saw the whips going up in flames, except for one little animal that was really sad. Snowball.
The diva animal.
The diva animal was really sad. Snowball also threw onto the fire the ribbons in which the horses' manes and tails had usually been decorated on market days.
No, not the tie ribbons.
All those nipple
Ribbons.
tassels gone up in flames.
All those nipple rings gone.
They really just don't understand a good time, do they?
They
No, we
don't.
don't.
Ribbons, he said, should be considered as clothes, which are the mark of a human being. All animals should go naked.
Hell yeah.
Ants are prison.
Live free, man. Live free.
I feel a little
Well,
piggy today.
When Boxer heard this, he fetched the small straw hat which he wore in summer to keep the flies out of his ears, and flung it on the fire with the rest. In a very little while, the animals had destroyed everything that reminded them of Mr. Jones. Napoleon then led them back to the store shed and served out a double ration of corn to everybody, with 2 biscuits for each dog.
Don't trust me. Don't overfeed the dogs. Trust me.
Don't overfeed the dogs.
Don't overfeed the dogs.
Then they sang Beast of Beast of England. That's just so silly. From end to end 7 times before running. Oh, wait, I just made that part up. And after that, they settled down for the night and slept as though they had never slept before. But they woke up at dawn as usual, and suddenly remembering the glorious thing that had happened, they all raced outside into the pasture together.
The
A
sky
little
is
way-
so much bluer. The grass is so much greener.
It's purple now.
Yeah.
A little way down.
Those mushrooms out of the corn.
Dude.
What was in that corn, man? What was in that? It's trippy, man. A little way down the pasture, there was a knoll that commanded a view of most of the farm. The animals rushed to the top of it and gazed round them in the clear morning light. Yes, it was theirs. Everything they could see was theirs. In the ecstasy of that thought, they gambled round, yeah, and round. They hurled themselves into the air in great leaps of excitement. They rolled in the dew. They cropped mouthfuls of the sweet summer grass. They kicked up clods of the black earth and snuffed its rich scent.
Yeah, man.
Then they made a tour of inspection of the whole farm and surveyed with speechless admiration the plowland, the hayfield, the orchard, the pool, the spinney. It was as though they had never seen those things before. And even now, they could hardly believe that it was all their own. There you go, Volstorm, your favorite voice.
Yes, that's what turns me on the most.
I know it does.
I killed it. Well, then they filed back to the farm buildings and halted in silence outside the door of the farmhouse. It was theirs too, but they were frightened to go inside. After a moment, however, Snowball and Napoleon butted the door open with their shoulders, and the animals entered in single file, walking with the utmost care for fear of disturbing anything. They tiptoed from room to room, afraid to speak above a whisper, and gaze in with a kind of awe at an unbelievable luxury. At the beds with their feather mattresses, the looking glasses, the horsehair sofa, the Brussels carpet, the lithograph of Queen Victoria, that whore, over the drawing room mantelpiece.
Damn.
They were just coming down the stairs when Molly was discovered to be missing. Going back, the others had found she had remained behind in the best bedroom. Oh, yes, she did. Yes, she did. She had taken a piece of blue ribbon from Mrs. Jones's dressing table and was holding it against her shoulder and admiring herself in the glass in a very foolish manner, like a hussy.
Shameful.
Ooh,
That's not very communist of you.
my kind of girl.
Oh, but the others reproached her sharply, and they went outside. Some hands hanging in the kitchen were taken out to be buried, and the barrel of beer in the scullery was stove in with a kick from Box's hoof. Who in the hell destroys beer?
I know.
Yeah,
Bad
what's
word.
wrong with you?
with you?
Bad.
Man, that was their
That
first
could be
mistake.
shared. That could be communal wine, is what that could be. Jeez.
Isn't there
Could
like
be.
some kind of, I don't know, there's got to be some kind of commandment or something against that.
There is.
Yes, that is like the 12th commandment. You know, there was 30 commandments. But,
I mean,
you know,
Jesus
you fall
turned water into wine. What more do you need?
Thank you, Reverend. Thank you.
Yes. Otherwise, nothing in the house had been touched. A unanimous resolution was passed on the spot that the farmhouse shall be preserved as a museum. Yes, it was. All were agreed that no animal must ever live there. Ever!
Shame on them.
The animals had their breakfast. Then Snowball and Napoleon called them together again. Comrades, said Snowball. It's 6:30. We have a long day before us. Today we begin the hay harvest. But there's another matter that must be attended to first. The pigs now reveled that during the past 3 months they had taught themselves to read and write from an old spelling book, which had belonged to Mr. Jones's children. God knows what they did with the children, and which had been thrown into the rubbish heap. Napoleon sent for pots of black and white paint and led the way to the 5-barrel gate that had gave to on the main road. Then Snowball, for it was Snowball who was the best at riding, took a brush between his two knuckles of his trotter, painted out Manor Farm from the top bar of the gate, and in its place painted Animal Farm.
Animal Farm.
It was that glorious decoration. Yes, it was. This was to be the name of the farm from now on. After this, they went back to the farm buildings where Snowball and Napoleon sent for a ladder, which they had caused to be set against the wall of the big barn. They explained that by their studies of the past 3 months, they learned all this crap in 3 months. The pigs had succeeded in reducing the principles of animalism to 7. Count them, 7 commandments. Yes, sir. These 7 commandments would now be inscribed on the wall, for they would form an unadulterated law by which all the animals on Animal Farm must live forever.
Camel toe that brush.
That's right.
Moose knuckle,
That's
moose
right.
knuckle.
Moose knuckle. With some difficulty, for it is not easy for a pig to balance himself on a ladder, Snowball climbed up and set to work. With Squealer a few rungs below him, you better watch your back end with Squealer. Hold the paint pot. The commandments were written on the tarred wall in great white letters that could be read from 30 yards away. They ran thus. Oh. And the whole congregation will get together and spout these. The 7 commandments. 1.
Yes.
Whatever goes upon 2 legs is an enemy.
Amen.
Number 2. Whatever goes upon 4 legs or has wings is a friend.
Hallelujah,
Right?
brother.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Number 3, no animal shall wear clothes. You shall be free in your nakedness.
Free. Free.
Number 4, no animal shall sleep in a bed.
It's wicked.
Even by themselves?
Well, they said they can't sleep in a bed, if you know what I mean. No animal shall drink alcohol. Now, to me, that's a sin. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but that's a sin.
Reverend, I'm going to need some forgiving there.
Please report to the confessional, Sister Nocturna.
Make sure you get on your hands and knees and hail the Marys about 3 or 4 times.
That's
We'll be just
right.
fine.
No animal shall kill any other animal.
That's right.
Unless you're the bear coming across from the woods and he's going to eat your ass.
Yeah,
All
the
right.
bear doesn't care.
Or
He's
you're
like,
a
whatever.
pig and you like bacon. I mean,
And number 7, and most importantly, all animals are equal, just like a bunch of communists. It was very neatly written, except that friend was written as some German word that I'm sure only brother I have a story can pronounce properly.
Friend.
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 And one of the
safe
S.
word.
Yeah, the same. No longer pineapple juice. It's friend. Friend.
One of the S's was doubled up. What?
Yeah, one of the S's was the wrong way around. The spelling was correct all the way through. Snowball read it aloud for the benefit of the others. All the animals nodded in complete agreement, and the clever ones at once began to learn the commandments by heart. Now, comrades, cried Snowball, throwing down the paintbrush to the hayfield. Let us go to make a point of honor to get in the harvest more quickly than Jones and his men could do. But at this moment, the 3 cows, who had seemed uneasy for some past, set up a loud lowing. Yes, they did. They were loud and they were lowing. They had not been milked for 24 hours. Oh, my goodness. No one had touched them teats.
Oh, them nipples was hard and sore.
That is abuse.
There's all
They
kinds
need
of
to
foil
be.
up in here.
You gotta
Yeah,
milk
milk
them
'em.
babies. Hell yeah.
I mean, for crying out loud, their udders were almost bursting. Yes, they were. After a little thought, the pigs sent down for buckets and milked the cows fairly successfully. God, that's got to be painful. Their trotters began being well adapted to this task. Soon there were 5 buckets of frothy, creamy milk, at which many of the animals looked with considerable interest. What's
Mommy
going to
milk.
happen to all that milk? Said someone. Jones used sometimes to mix some of it in our mash, said one of the hens.
That was a weird fucking beginning to an Eric Cartman with a mix of some crazy English dude and Bill Cosby awfully drunk. I don't know how the hell you just did that voice, man.
It was perfect. It was perfect.
Wow. I think someone's possessed.
Sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I speak in tongues.
It's always the preachers.
It's the best
That's what that
creatures.
pony
Only
was
the ones.
earlier. I was wondering what
that-
your tongue was doing.
Ooh.
Never mind the milk, comrades. Cried Napoleon, placing himself in front of the buckets. That will be attended to. The harvest is more important. Comrade Snowball will lead the way. I shall follow in a few minutes. Forward, comrades. The hay is waiting. So the animals trope down to the hayfield to begin the work, to begin the harvest, to get everything together, to make sure that they can eat. And when they came back in the evening, it was noticed that all that milk had disappeared.
Ooh.
Crazy how that
Indeed.
happens, huh?
Shame on them. Shame on them.
The sin of stealing.
Stand still.
I
Oh my
know.
goodness, the vapors.
So how they had toiled and sweated to get the hay in,
Yeah, they did.
Right.
Yeah, they did.
but their efforts were rewarded, for the harvest was an even bigger success than they had hoped. Sometimes the work was hard. It was so hard. The implements had been designed for human beings and not for animals. And it was a great drawback that no animal was able to use any tool that involved standing on its hind legs. But the pigs were ever so clever that they could think of a way around every difficulty. As for the horses, they knew every inch of the field, and in fact understood the business of mowing and raking far better than any Jones and his men had ever done.
They plowed it for a long time.
Damn right.
They knew that field.
The goddamn
Helps to know where
Where
you're
the
plowing.
inch
It
of
just
that
really
field.
does. You know where all the grooves are in the rocks.
Exactly. You got to make sure that you hit all the right spots.
That's right.
The pigs did not actually work, but directed and supervised the others. But their superior knowledge in it was natural that they should assume the leadership. Boxer and Clover would harness themselves to the cutter or the horse rake. I got one of those. No bits or reins were needed in these days, of course, and tramped steadily around and round the field with the pig walking behind and calling out, "Gee up, comrade!" or "Whoa back, comrade!" as the case might be. And every animal down to the humblest worked at turning the hay and gathering it. Even the ducks and hens toiled to and fro all day in the sun, carrying tiny wisps of hay in their beaks. In the end, they finished the harvest in 2 days less time than it had taken Jones and his men. Moreover, it was the biggest harvest that the farm had ever seen. There was no wastage whatsoever, and the hens and ducks, with their sharp eyes, had gathered up the very last stalk.
Right there.
Here we are. Okay, yeah. And not an animal on the farm had stolen so much as a mouthful. All through that summer, the work of the farm went like clockwork. The animals were happy, and they had never conceived it possible to be. Every mouthful of food was an accurate, positive pleasure. Now that it was truly their own food, produced by themselves and for themselves, not doled out to them by a grudging master. Master. With the
Master.
worthless...
Master.
Say it again, but a little slower and lower. Anyways.
Your master.
I'm gonna wear you out.
Oh, come I'm feeling uncomfortable now.
Hand check, guys. Hand check.
I have my baby arm holding an apple right there. Hand is up.
All right. With the worthless, parasitical human beings gone, there was more for everyone to eat. There was more leisure, too. Inexperienced through the animals, though the animals were, well, inexperienced, you practice makes perfect. They met with many difficulties. For instance, later in the year when when they harvested the corn, they had to treat it out to ancient style and blow away the chaff with their breath, since the farm possessed no threshing machine. But the pigs, with their cleverness, and Boxer, with his tremendous muscles, ooh, we like muscles, always pulled them through. Boxer was the admiration of everybody. He had been a hard worker, even in Jones's time, but now he seemed more than like 3 horses than one. There were days when the entire work of the farm seemed to rest upon his mighty shoulders. From morning to night, he was pushing and pulling, always at the spot where the work was the hardest.
That's right. Get it in that spot.
Bunch of lazy
Kaiser,
ass
we're-
bitches.
Unless
Get
you
it
got a
right
fever,
there.
Kaiser, where do you think you are? Of course, it's awkward.
All you got to say is,
Like you don't know.
He had he had made an arrangement with one of the cockerels to call him in the mornings half an hour earlier than everyone else, and put in some volunteer labor at whatever seemed to be the most needed before the regular day's work began. His answer to every problem, every setback was, "I will work harder," which he adopted as his personal motto.
Stretch those muscles.
But everyone worked according to his capacity. The hens and ducks, for instance, saved 5 bushels of corn at the harvest by gathering up stray grains. Nobody stole, nobody grumbled over the rations. The quarreling and biting and jealousy, which had been normal features of life in the old days, had almost disappeared. Nobody shirked, or almost nobody. Molly, it's always a Molly, it was true, was not good at getting up in the mornings, and had a way of leaving work early on the ground that there was a stone in her hoof. And the behavior of the cat was somewhat peculiar. It was soon noticed that when there was work to be done, the cat could never be found. She would vanish for hours on end and then reappear at meal times or in the evening after work was over. Such a lazy pussy, as though nothing had happened. But she always had made excellent excuses and purred so affectionately that it was almost impossible not to believe her good intentions. Old Benjamin the ass seemed quite unchanged since the rebellion. He did his work in the same slow, obstinate way he had done it in Jones's time, never shirking and never volunteering for extra work either. About the rebellion and its results, he would express no opinion. When asked whether he was not happier now that Jones was gone, he would only say, "Donkeys live a long time. None of you have ever seen a dead donkey." And the others had to be content with his cryptic answer.
Better watch your ass.
better watch your ass.
On Sundays, there was no work. Breakfast was an hour later than usual, and after breakfast, there was a ceremony in which was observed every week without fail. First came the hoisting of the flag.
And the prank was a dear leader.
That's right.
Sunday morning coming down, baby.
We always hoist that
Gun in your
flag on
pocket, or you
Sundays.
just happy to see me?
No, we hoist that thing every Sunday.
We'll
Just
see you
to
salutes.
Yes, sir.
Snowball had found in the harness room. I want to see this harness room. An old green tablecloth of Mrs. Jones, and had painted on it a hoof and horn in white. This was run up the flagstaff in the farmhouse garden every Sunday morning. The flag was green, Snowball explained, to represent the green fields of England, while the root or the hoof and horn signified the future republic of the animals which would arise when the human race had finally been overthrown. After hoisting of the flag, all the animals trooped into the barn for a general assembly which was known as the meeting. Here, the work of the coming week was planned out and resolutions were put forward and debated. It was always the pigs who put forward the resolutions. The other animals understood how to vote, but could never think of any resolutions of their own. Snowball and Napoleon were by far the most active in the debates, but it was noticed that these two were never in agreement. Whatever suggestion either one of them made, the other could be counted on to oppose it, even it even when it was resolved, a thing no one could object to in itself, to set aside the small paddock behind the orchard as a home of rest for animals, why not, who were past work. There was a stormy debate over the correct retiring age for each class of animal. The meeting always ended with the singing of Beasts of England, and the afternoon was given up to recreation. Sorry about that.
No.
I'll
I'm
pass
sorry, I
it along.
scrolled too fast and she got excited.
I did.
You'll be subverted.
Pass
Further
it on.
raising a flagpole.
The pigs, they had set aside in the harness room as headquarters for themselves. Here in the evenings, they would study blacksmithing, carpenting, and all other necessary arts of forms of books which they had brought from the farmhouse. Snowball also busied himself with the organizing of the other animals into what he called animal committees. He was indeflatable at this. He formed the egg production committee for the hens, the cleaning of the tails league for the cows, and the wild comrades re-education committee. The object of this was to tame the rats and the rabbits.
Wait, that sounds familiar.
The whiter wool movement for the sheep and the various others, besides instituting classes in reading and writing. On the whole, these projects were a failure. The attempt to tame the wild creatures, for instance, broke down almost immediately. They continued to behave very much as before, and when they treated with generosity, simply they took advantage of it. The cat rejoined the re-education committee and was very active in it for some days. She was seen one day sitting on the roof and talking to some sparrows who were just out of her reach. She was telling them that all animals are not comrades, and any sparrow who choose to come and perch on her paw. But them sparrows, they kept at their distance.
I ain't no dumbass.
That's right,
Come
dang it.
on. They're dumb little sparrows.
Reminds me of the
The
spider
reading
and the
and the
fly.
writing classes,
Yeah,
however,
amazing,
were
isn't it?
great success. By autumn, almost every animal on the farm was literate in some degree. As for the pigs, they could already read and write perfectly. The dogs learned to read very well, but they were not interested in reading except for the 7 commandments. Mario the goat could read something better to the dogs, and sometimes used to read to the others in the evenings from the scraps of newspaper which he found in the rubbish heap. Benjamin could read as well as any pig, but never exercised his faculty. So far as he knew, he said there was nothing worth reading. Clover learned the whole alphabet and added a few extras because he was from another country called Denmark. But could not put the words together.
Why is your language so weird, Becker?
Boxer could not get beyond the letter D, where he would say, D. Give me some D.
That's
He
all
would
he needed
trace
to
out
know.
the A, B, the C, and the D in the dust with his great hoof, and then would stand at the letters with his ear back, sometimes shaking his forelock, trying to with all his might to remember what came next. He never succeeded. On several occasions, he did learn the E, F, G, and H, but by the time he knew them, he was always discovered that he forgot what the A, B, and the C was. Finally, he decided to be content with the first 4 letters. He used to write them out once or twice every day to refresh his memory. Molly refused to learn any but the 6 letters which she spelt her own name. She would form these words neatly out in pieces of twig and would decorate them with a flower or two and walk around them, stumbling upon them and admiring them. None of the other animals on the farm could get further than the letter A for apple. It was also found that the stupider animals, the stupid sheep, the hens, the ducks, they were unable to learn the 7 commandments by heart. After much
Eat
thought,
them.
Snowball declared that the 7 commandments should be in effect be reduced to just a single maxim, namely 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. Thus, he said, contained the essential principle of the animalism. Whoever had thoroughly grasped it would be safe from the human influences. The birds at the first objected, seeing that they had also 2 legs, but Snowball proved to them that this is not so. Bird's wings, comrades, is an organ of propulsion, just an organ, not of manipulation.
What?
It
They
should
like
be
a good
regarded
organ.
as a leg. The distinguished mark of man is the hand, the instrument which he does all his mischiefs of.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
Right. He just
Dirty,
pulls
dirty
that hand out and he
boy.
strokes his hands upon them, and the next thing you know, you got shot in the face. The
Give me a
birds
hand,
no,
baby.
they did not understand Snowball's long words. They accepted his explanation, and all the humbler animals set to work to learn a new maxim by heart. 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. It was
Depends on what you do.
inscribed upon their asses. It was stuck in their minds. They used whips and chains to beat it into their soul. There's
Hell
this
yeah.
graph on the
I thought
wall
they
at
got rid of the
bar
whips and
about this-
chains.
Wait, go
I'm
back to the whips and
confused.
chains.
I'm confused.
Can we read that
They kept the
again?
whips and chains, but only for the good.
Yeah.
No. When they had once gotten it by heart, the sheep developed a great liking for this maxim, and often as they lay out in the field, they would all start bleating, 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. 4 legs good, 2 legs bad, and keep up for hours. And it was just so sickening that you wanted to go out there and just shave them bald and eat them for dinners.
And then the bear showed up.
The bear showed up. Napoleon, he took no interest in the Snowball's committees. He said that the education of the stupid and young was more important than anything that could ever be done for those who were already grown up. And it happened that Jesse and Blueblood had both whelped soon after the hay harvest. Oh, they were getting a little bit. Giving birth between them was 9 sturdy puppies. As soon as they were weaned, Napoleon took them away from their mother, saying he would make them himself responsible for their re-education. He took them up into the loft where they could be reached by ladder from the harness room, and there they kept them in such seclusion that the rest of the farm would soon forget that we had puppies. We taught little puppies. We have made them understand that they will understand everything that we tell them.
Oh,
The mystery of
little
the milk was so
German artist you.
cleared up. It was mixed every day into the pigs' mash. The early apples were now ripening. The grass of the orchard was littered with windfalls. The animals had assumed as a matter of course that these would be shared out equally. One day, however, the other windfalls were to be collected and brought to the harness room for the use of the pigs. This of the other animals murmured, but it was of no use. All the pigs were in full agreement on this point. Even Snowball and Napoleon. Schooner was set to make the necessary explanation to the others. Well, comrades, he cried, do not imagine I hope that we pigs are doing this in the spirit of selfishness and privilege. None of us actually dislike the milk and the apples. I dislike them myself. Our sole object is in taking these things is to preserve our health, milk, apples. This has been proved by science, comrades. Believe the science, just the science.
Trust the science.
Contains substances absolutely necessary to the well-being of a pig. We pigs are brain workers. We're smart. The whole management and organization of this farm depends on us. Day and night, we are watching over your happy welfare. It is for your sake that we drink that milk and eat those apples. Do you know what would happen if we pigs failed in our duty? Jones would come back. Yes, Jones would come back, surely, comrades, cried Squealer, almost blatantly skipping from side to side, whisking his tail. Surely there's no one among you who wants to see Jones come back. Now, If there was one more thing the animals were completely certain of, it was that they did not want Jones's back. They wanted to put him in his light. They had no more to say. The importance of keeping the pigs in good health was all too obvious. So it was agreed upon with a further agreement that the milk and the windfall apples, and also the main crop and apples and all the other good stuff that everybody liked to enjoy, would be reserved for the pigs and the pigs alone.
Sounds familiar.
By the late summer, the news of what had happened on the animal farm had spread across half the county. Every day, Snowball and Napoleon sent out flights of pigeons whose instructions were to mingle with the animals on neighboring farms, tell them the story of the rebellion, and teach them the tune of Beasts of England.
They were raised by Mike Tyson.
Yeah. Most of this time, Mr. Jones had spent sitting in the tap room of the Red Lion at Wildington, getting drunk, complaining to anyone who would listen of the monstrous injustice he had suffered in being turned out of his property by a pack of good-for-nothing animals. The other farmers sympathized in principle, but they did not at first help him much. At heart, each of them was secretly wondering whether he could not somehow turn Jones's misfortune into his own advantage. They want to take advantage of him. It was lucky that the owners of the two farms which adjoined Animal Farm were on permanently bad terms. One of them, which was named Foxwood, was a large, neglected, old-fashioned farm, much overgrown by woodland, with all its pastures worn out and its hedges in a disgraceful condition. Its owner, Mr. Pilkington, was an easygoing gentleman farmer who spent most of his time in fishing or hunting according to the season. The other farm, which was called Pinchfield, because it only pinches a little.
Sometimes you got to pinch the field, you know what I mean?
You just pinch the head a little bit. It's fine.
Yeah, goose them pigs.
Ouch.
Was smaller and better kept. Its owner was Mr. Frederick, a tough, shrewd man, perpetually involved in lawsuits and with a name for driving hard bargains, otherwise known as Bubbles. These two disliked each other so much that it was difficult for them to come to any agreement, even in defense of their own interests. Nevertheless, they were both thoroughly frightened by the rebellion on Animal Farm, and very anxious to prevent their own animals from learning too much about it. At first, they pretended to laugh, to scorn the idea of animals managing a farm for themselves. The whole thing would be over in a fortnight, they said. They put it about that time that the animals on the manor farm, they insisted on calling it the manor farm, they would not tolerate the name Animal Farm, were perpetually fighting amongst themselves and were also rapidly starving to death. When time passed... Where'd I go? Oh, when time passed and the animals had evidently not starved to death, Frederick and Pilkington changed their tune and began to talk of the terrible wickedness that now flourished on Animal Farm. Those sinful little devil animals.
Yes!
Sinners.
That's right. It's become a commune, a farm of sin. It was given out to the animal. Wait a minute.
Iniquity and lustigiousness.
Yeah. All them furries. It was given out that the animals there practiced cannibalism. Oh, my. Tortured one another with red-hot horseshoes. Wow. Batteries, jumper cables, and had their females in common. Whoa! Wow. Man, now we're getting into some good stuff.
That's how you do it, man. Keep them women in
Okay.
common.
Is this a Mormon farm?
I was just going to say, wow.
Link, if
This
you
would
need
be the-
help, if you have eyelids.
This was what came of rebelling against the laws of nature, Frederick and Pilkington said. However, these stories were never fully believed. Rumors of a wonderful farm where the human beings had been turned out and the animals managed their own affairs continued to circulate in vague and distorted forms, and throughout that year a wave of rebelliousness ran through the countryside. Bulls, which had always been tractable, suddenly turned savage. Sheep broke down hedges and devoured the clover. Cows kicked the pail over. Hunters refused their fences and shot their rider on the other side. Above all, the tune and even the words of Beasts of England were known everywhere. It had spread with some astonishing speed. The human beings could not contain their rage when they heard this song, though they pretended to think it merely ridiculous. They could not understand, they said, how even animals could bring themselves to sing such contemptible rubbish. Any animal caught singing it was given a bullet to the was given a flogging on the spot.
Bang!
And yet the song, a copper-jacketed antidepressant, and yet the song was irrepressible.
It's brass.
The blackbirds whistled it in the hedges. The pigeons cooed it in the elms. It got into the din of the smithies and the tune of the church bells. And when the human beings listened to it, they secretly trembled, hearing in it a prophecy of their future doom.
And that's how sin is. It spreads like wildfire.
Mm-hmm.
Let it spread, preacher. Let it spread.
Calm yourself, sister.
Wow.
She just wants to be spread out. What?
Yeah.
Said that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, was that out loud?
Did I say that out loud? I'm so sorry. What's our little secret? Sorry.
You can go ahead, Diva, unless you want me to keep reading.
Oh, keep reading. I'm starting to get lulled.
Oh.
She's getting excited.
Yeah.
That ain't all.
Just saying, if those microphones drop out, you know what happens.
That's right.
I know. I don't know. I should stop it. It just gets them going. They just
Remember
disappear.
Unless you don't want to push
Then we
the
hear
button.
about her eye again.
Oh, my eye. Oh,
Hey, Yamaha, thanks in advance.
Well, as long as the car gets parked in the right garage. Doesn't
That's
really
right,
matter
baby.
where the engine gets started.
Every time.
Daddy's got a 4x4.
Don't
Diva.
park it on the back lot. That's all I'm saying.
Early in October, when the corn was cut and stacked, and some of it was already threshed. A flight of pigeons came whirling through the air and alighted in the yard of the animal farm in the wildest excitement.
So
all them
wild.
feathers flying around. Little French ticklers in the making. Jones and all his men, with half a dozen others from Foxwood End, it pinches a little field, had entered the 5-barred gates and were coming up to the cart track that led to the farm. They were all carrying sticks, except Jones, who was marching ahead with a gun in his hands.
Good.
Obviously, they were going to attempt the recapture of the farm. This had long been expected, and all preparations had been made. Snowball, who had studied an old book of Julius Caesar's campaigns, which he found in the farmhouse, was in charge of the defensive operations. He gave orders quickly, and in a couple of minutes, every animal was at his post. As the human beings approached the farm building, Snowball launched his first attack. All the pigeons, to the number of 35, flew to and fro over the men's heads and shit upon them and muted. Muted upon them from the air. Okay, well, there you go.
There you go.
I was on the right track. And blinded them. And while men were dealing with this, the geese, who had been hiding behind the hedge, rushed out and pecked viciously at the calves of their legs and taints. However, this was only a light skirmishing maneuver intended to create a little disorder, and the men easily drove the geese off with their sticks. Snowball now launched his second line of attack. Muriel, Benjamin, and all the sheep, with Snowball at the head of them, rushed forward and prodded and butted the men in their cornholes from every side, while Benjamin turned around and lashed at them with his small hooves and kicked them in the taint. But once again, the men, with their sticks and their hobnailed boots, were too strong for them. And suddenly, at a squeal from Snowball, which was the signal for retreat, all the animals turned and fled through the gateway into the yard.
He's just showing his ass. That's all. He's like, I'm here.
It's a trap.
You got your stick out. Let me show you.
Oh, mito, fatso, solo.
I never heard Chewbacca sound so good.
Una boto.
Oh, big furry man.
All right, I'll read now.
All right.
The men gave a shout of triumph. Oh, hold on, my microphone's being weird. And now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
It's just as hot.
Oh, yeah.
Eager and waiting.
Yes. The men gave a shout of triumph. They saw, as they imagined, their enemies in flight, and they rushed after them in disorder. This was just what Snowball had intended. As soon as they were well inside the yard, the 3 horses, the 3 cows, and the rest of the pigs, who'd been lying in ambush in the cowshed, suddenly emerged in their rear, cutting them off. Oh dear.
Wow.
That sounds very painful.
That's quite the camouflage. Jumping right out the ass.
Ouch. Snowball now gave the signal for the charge. He himself dashed straight for Jones. Jones saw him coming, raised his gun, and fired. The pellets scored bloody streaks along Snowball's back, and the sheep dropped dead. Without halting for an instant, Snowball flung his 15-stone against Jones's legs. Jones was hurled into a pile of dung, and his gun flew out of his hands. But the most terrifying spectacle of all was Boxer, rearing up on his hind legs and striking out with his great iron-shod hooves like a stallion. But his first blow took a stable lad from Foxwood on the skull and stretched him lifeless in the mud. At the sight, several men dropped their sticks and tried to run. Panic overtook them, and the next moment all the animals together were chasing them round and round in the yard. They were gored, kicked, bitten, trampled on. There was not...
What?
And that wasn't even the fun part yet.
Just seeing what they did to the bodies later.
About to make your Sunday night here.
There was not an animal on the farm that did not take vengeance on them in his own fashion. Even the cat suddenly leapt off a roof onto a cowman's shoulders and sank her claws into his neck, which he enjoyed ferociously. Yelled.
Scratch me, baby. Scratch
Yelled
me.
horribly. At a moment when the opening was clear, the men were glad enough to rush out of the yard and make a bolt for the main road. And so within 5 minutes of their invasion, their ignominious retreat by the same way as they had come, with a flock of geese hissing after them and pecking at their calves all the way. All the men were gone except one. Back in the yard, Boxer was pawing his hoof at the stable lad who lay face down in the mud, trying to turn him over. The boy did not stir. "Well, he's dead," said Boxer softly. "I had no intention of doing that. I forgot that I was wearing iron shoes. Who'll believe that I did not do this on purpose?" "No sentimentality, comrade," cried Snowball.
Yes.
Yes, from whose wounds the blood was still dripping. War. Wait, shoot. What is my Russian accent? I always forget this.
Like Natasha.
War. Not like Natasha. War is war. The only good human being is a dead one. "Well, I have no wish to take life, not even a human life," repeated Boxer, and his eyes were full of tears.
Poor boxer.
Poor boxer. He's a good old.
Yeah. Take
Where's
some Molly's.
Molly?
You'll forget about it. Yeah, take some Molly's. You'll forget about it.
Exclaimed
Exactly.
somebody. Molly, in fact, was missing.
Mm.
For a moment, there was great alarm. It was feared that the men might have harmed her in some way, or even carried her off with them.
Ooh.
In the end, however, she was found hiding in her stall with her head buried among the hay in the manger. She had taken to flight as soon as the gun went off, and when the others came back from looking for her, it was to find that the stable lad, who in fact was only stunned, had already recovered and made off.
So he
so
wasn't dead.
He wasn't dead. Okay.
He wasn't dead. No death.
He was just a little special.
He was just,
Carnage!
his eyes
This
were
is
crossed
why-
again.
Send
This
that
is-
boy
this
back
is
to that
why
horse
you
to kick him again. His eyes are all cockeyed.
Oh, this is why
Straighten out a
your
little bit.
safety helmet, children.
Falls down a well, eyes go crossed, gets kicked by a mule, they go back to normal. I don't
I
know.
don't know.
The animals had now reassembled in their wildest excitement, both recounting.
I'm special. Leave me alone.
And that boy
Oh,
today
Ed.
is who we know as Shizzywhiznut.
I'm special. Do not mess with me.
Special.
I will not take upon my soul for being kicked in the head by horses.
This is the brigade commander of the special ed helmet.
It is.
It bothers me that he wears that in public.
I know.
That's what
Do you
really
really?
Like the doctor probably orders it, and when he's at home safe, he takes it off. But then when he knows he's getting
when
ready
he
to
goes
go out,
outside. Yeah.
It's that
Yeah.
soft spot that they tell
Yeah.
me not to push on because it makes me pee.
The animals had now reassembled in the wildest excitement, each recounting his own exploits in the battle at the top of his voice. An impromptu celebration of the victory was held immediately. The flag was run up, and Beast of England was sung a number of times. Then the sheep who had been killed was given a solemn funeral, and hawthorn bush being planted over her grave. At the graveside, Snowball made a little speech, emphasizing the need for all animals to be ready to die for Animal Farm if need be.
Damn.
It's you, Bossworm.
Yeah, yes. The animals decided unanimously to create a military decoration. Animal Hero First Class,
All right,
which
Wallace.
was conferred there and then on Snowball and Boxer. It consisted of a brass medal. They were really some old horse brasses, which had been found in the harness room, which happened to be Miss Nocturna's favorite room, to be worn on Sundays and holidays. There was also Animal Hero Second Class, which was conferred posthumously on the dead sheep. God knows what else they did with the damn sheep.
And awarded a
if you-
purple
if you-
clover.
You know, you
They
can
were
stop
awarded a
awarded
purple
just use
clover.
some of his intestines.
That's how they kept warm in the winter. You'll find that out later. There was much discussion as to what the battle should be called. In the end, it was named the Battle of the Cowshed, since that was where the ambush had been sprung. Very original, I might add.
Yeah.
Mr.
The
Jones is
Battle of
gone.
Shit Hill.
Battle of shit wheel.
Oh.
It was powerful wrong.
Mr. Jones's gun had been found laying in the mud, and it was known that there was a supply of cartridges in the farmhouse. It was decided to set the gun up at the foot of the flagstaff, like a piece of artillery, and to fire it twice a year, once on October the 12th, the anniversary of the Battle of the Cowshed, and once on Midsummer Day, the anniversary of the rebellion. Chapter 5. As winter drew on, Molly became more and more useless. I mean, troublesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was late for work every morning and excused herself by saying that she had overslept. And she complained of mysterious pains, although her appetite was excellent, because she was fat. On every kind of pretext, she would run away from work and go to the drinking pool, where she would stand foolishly gazing at her own reflection in the water. But there were also rumors of something more serious. One day, as Molly strolled blithely into the yard, flirting her long tail and chewing a stalk of hay, Clover took her aside. Molly, she said, I have something very serious to say to you. This morning I saw you looking over the hedge that divides Animal Farm from Foxwood. One of Mr. Plinkington's men was standing on the other side of the hedge, and I was a long ways away, but I'm certain I saw this. He was talking to you, and you were allowing him to stroke your nose. What does that mean, Molly?
This is spicy.
stroke that
Come on
nose.
What
now.
a
Yeah.
whore.
Just some
Thought maybe she
drama
caught
and
some
some
of that
stroking. Okay.
number 6 shot. But
I saw you,
She
girl.
likes-
I saw
She
you.
likes a little
turns out
stroking on
she
the
just a
nose.
whore.
Just watching
She just
her
likes a
stroke,
little bit on
too.
her
I mean,
nose,
just
that's all.
watching. Got some voyeurism. Come on now. All
He
right,
didn't.
all right.
I wasn't. It wasn't true. Cried Molly, beginning to prance around and paw the ground.
They all say that.
Molly, look me in the face. Did you give me your word of honor that this man was not stroking your nose?
Schooner!
That's
Schooner!
That's
Poking
true.
that little man in the boat.
But he's got a cube of sugar. What was I supposed to do?
It felt, I couldn't understand.
It was just
how
once, I
felt.
promise.
It's just
It doesn't mean anything.
It just felt so. It
was
felt
just
so
physical.
good. I couldn't stop.
It
I'm
was
so
only sexual.
sorry. That's
Tis
awesome.
it true, repeated Molly, but she could not look Clover in the face. And the next moment, she took her heels and galloped away into the field.
So
I thought-
ashamed.
Aye, so ashamed indeed. A thought struck Clover, without saying anything to the others. She went to Molly's stall and turned over the straw with her hoof. Hidden under the straw was a little pile of lump sugar that she had been hiding away like a coke addict. And several
Some
bunches
that
of
booger
ribbon.
sugar. That's what it was.
That's what that shit is.
Suma.
I'm telling you, this Molly sounds a little bit like Miss Nocturne. She wants to get that bit back in her mouth.
Those spicy girls, nothing wrong with that.
Hey, submissive for life.
I long to be ridden hard.
Oh God!
I miss the saddle
hard out in the open fields.
and the sting of leather against my skin.
I miss the feel of being broken.
Oh God!
And the hobbling. Oh, the hobbling.
Oh my! Oh my!
Hey,
Hmm.
that's a real night worth of work if you're hobbling.
Whoa!
Damn.
3 days later, Molly disappeared. For some weeks, nothing was known of her whereabouts. Then the pigeons reported that they had seen her on the other side of Willingdon. She was between the shafts of a smart dog cart painted red and black, submissive, which was standing outside a public house. A fat, red-faced man in check breeches and gaiters, who also looked like a publican, was stroking her nose and feeding her with sugar. Aye, the booger sugar. Her coat was newly clipped, and she wore a scarlet ribbon round her forelock. She appeared to be enjoying herself, so the pigeon said. None of the animals ever mentioned Molly again, and Molly went into the deep, deep catacombs of Booger Sugarland.
It's only a matter of time before she got caught between two shafts.
It
I was
could be
keeping it- I
worse.
was
It
keeping
could
it
be
toned
worse.
down,
I
damn it.
guess.
Oh, save me. I'm pinned in.
Oh no!
Oh, no, I can't get out.
Terrible! Oh no!
If only someone would help me.
Please,
You large
don't
shafts,
Help
do
guide
that.
help me.
And this is where we get running a train from.
All right, Miss Nocturne.
Okay. In January, there came bitterly hard winter. The earth was like iron, and nothing could be done in the fields. Many meetings were held in the barn, and the pigs occupied themselves with planning out the work of the coming season. Come to be accepted that the pigs, who were manifestly cleverer than the other animals, should decide all questions of farm policy through their decisions had to be ratified by majority vote. This arrangement would have worked well enough had it not been for the disputes between Snowball and Napoleon. Those two disagreed at every point where disagreement was possible. If one of them suggested sowing a bigger acreage with barley, the other was certain to demand a bigger acreage of oats. I would too. Always demand bigger. And if one of them said that such and such a field was just right for cabbages, the
Never
other would
right for cabbages.
What? Well,
Wait a minute, why
Napoleon did
not?
have a complex, you know.
Yeah.
The other would declare that it was useless for anything except roots. Each had its own following, and there were some violent debates. At the meetings, Snowball often won over the majority by his brilliant speeches, but Napoleon was better at canvassing support.
Canvassing.
Canvassing.
I like
You
that.
like them
That's like,
canvassers.
we're going to canvasser, you know.
I mean, if
You
you're
know
going to put
what?
your ass somewhere, might as well put it in a can.
Why not? What was it, Prince Albert in a can? Yeah. Support for himself in between times. Yeah, it's old as shit. He was especially successful with the sheep. And no, of late the sheep had taken them to bleeding 4 legs. 4 legs, 4 legs good, 2 legs bad, both in and out of season. They were often interrupted the meeting with this. It was noticed that they were especially liable to break into 4 legs good, 2 legs bad at crucial moments in Snowball's speeches. Snowball had made a close study of some back numbers. Oh, back numbers, okay. Of the farmer and stock breeder, which he had found in the farmhouse, and was full of plans for innovations and improvements. He talked learnedly about field drains, silage, and basic slag, and had worked out a complicated scheme for all animals to drop their dung directly in the fields at a spot every day to save the labor of cartage. Napoleon produced no schemes of his own, but it was said quietly that Snowball's would come to nothing, and seemed to be biding this time. But of all their controversies, none was so bitter as the one that took place over the window. Oh, the wind.
Uh-oh.
This it sounds like it's gonna hurt. Okay. In the long pasture not far from the farm buildings, there was a small knoll which was the highest point of the farm. After surveying the ground, Snowball declared that this was just the place for a windmill, which could be made to operate a dynamo and supply the what's a dynamo? Okay, and supply the farm with electrical power. This would light the stalls and warm them in winter, and would also run a circular saw, a chaff cutter, a mango slicer, and electric milking machine. The animals had never heard of this kind before, for the farm was an old-fashioned one and had only the most primitive machinery. And they listened in astonishment while Snowball conjured up pictures of fantastic machines which would do the work for them, while they grazed at their ease in the fields or improved their minds with reading and conversation. And
They called it the Green New Deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, milking machines like a stranger.
God.
I often said that I just happened to fall into it.
You're hard.
I just fell into it, I swear. It's like the vacuum cleaner.
Right.
I don't know how that happened.
What are you doing in the closet?
A lot. I'm doing
Nothing,
a
Mom.
lot.
I fell.
Why is the vacuum on again? What are you doing?
No, I
Leave
can't
me
turn it off.
alone.
Where have all my attachments gone?
It's
Okay,
vaccine
let me get my
action.
giggle out.
Oh, it's so deep.
So deep.
Okay. Within a few weeks, Snowball's plans for the windmill were fully worked out. The mechanical details came mostly from 3 books which had belonged to Mr. Jones. 1,000 useful things to do about the house, every man his own bricklayer, and electricity for beginners. Snowball used as his study a shed, which had once been used for incubators and had a smooth wooden floor suitable for drawing on. He was closeted there for hours at a time.
Knew it.
See?
Knew it.
I knew it. I knew it.
It's real easy.
With his books held open by a stone, and with a piece of chalk gripped between the knuckles of his trotter. Moose knuckles, he would move rapidly to and
Pig
fro.
knuckle.
Okay, fair. Yes, okay, pig knuckle. That's a new term. Rapidly to and fro, drawing in line after line, and uttering little whimpers of excitement. Gradually, the plans grew into complicated mass of cranks and cogwheels, covering more than half the floor, which other animals found completely unintelligible but very impressive. All of them came to look at Snowball's drawings at least once a day. Even the hens and ducks came and were at pains not to tread on the chalk marks. Only Napoleon held aloof. He declared himself against the windmill from the start. One day, however, he arrived unexpectedly to examine the plans. He walked heavily around the shed, looked closely at every detail of the plans, and snuffed at them once or twice, then stood for a little while contemplating them out of the corner of his eye. Then suddenly he lifted his leg, pissed all over them fuckers, and walked out without saying a fucking word. All right. The whole farm was deeply divided on the subject of the windmill. Snowball did not deny that to build it would be a difficult business. Stone would have to be quarried and built up into walls, then sails would have to be made, and after that there would be need for dynamos and cables. What the hell is a dynamo? I'm going to have to look that up later. I'm sorry, guys. Anyway, how these were to be procured, Snowball did not say, but he maintained that it could be done in a year. And thereafter he declared so much labor would be saved that the animals would only need work 3 days a week. Napoleon, on the other hand, argued that a great need of the moment was to increase food production, and that if they wasted time on the windmill, they would all starve to death. The animals formed themselves into 2 factions under the slogans, "Vote for Snowball and 3-day week," and for Napoleon and the full manger. Yeah. Benjamin was the only animal who did not side with either faction. He refused to believe that food would become more plentiful or that the windmill would save work. Windmill or no windmill, we're going to have fun, he said. Life would go on as it always had gone on. That is, badly. Next.
Well, you know what? We're hitting that spot where unless this chapter ends really soon, we've pretty much finished for the evening. Yes. I'm going to show my face again. All right.
That's a good idea.
It is.
I'll show my watery eye.
I understand. It was because all those top bits and whips and chains. Damn it, Nocturna, you got them all excited, and now we can't keep our damn attention. Damn it.
That's what it's all about. It's fun. It's Sunday night. We all needed to wind down.
Right.
Monday, it's a lot of fun, guys. I'm glad.
This is the best reading of Animal Farm I have ever heard.
It is the best.
It's a new perspective.
Best.
Yeah.
It is the best. Oh, and being that we're hitting right,
Bacon. Bacon.
and being that we're about to hit that season where the election is going to go on for. Well, it's supposed to be one day, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, a week. It's gonna be a couple months
or two.
Yeah,
I suspect.
I'm just wait for all those dead people to get their votes in too. You know? They're kind of slow.
They're so slow.
Dead people are people too. Leave them alone, man. Stop picking on them.
Hey, man, it takes a long time to read those mail-in ballots.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of reading, so being that it is election season, I know that election day is Tuesday. At least it's supposed to be. Although it's been going on for about a month now, we're hitting the time where everybody's going to be casting their votes, and we're going to have election day. I figured 1984 might be the book to read while we're just in the election. So I'm gonna be streaming that on Tuesday. You guys are
Fun.
and we'll just be watching the polls, not the stripper polls.
You can do both.
That's the only poll I want to watch.
Miss Napoleon on a stripper pole? Okay, I could go for that. I just have girls. Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yeah, I don't know. It always comes to mind. Yeah.
Oof, 1984. Nice. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to be doing on Tuesday. What do you guys have coming up? Anything good?
Nothing, as usual.
Oh.
Nothing.
No, I mean, as y'all know, I'll probably pop on with Shizzy from time to time. So
yeah, he'll come in. He'll spew out some words. Of wisdom.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. I so far my bingo card's been filled up 20 times tonight.
Yes.
My glass.
Oh, and just as a word of warning, yes, you can disagree with whatever points that we bring up. But there is a line, and I have an itchy trigger finger.
That's warning you.
Yes, we will be having a little bit of fun. It's going to be, it looks like it's going to be a very interesting night. It will be a very, very long stream. I don't mind if people are popping in and popping off and going about their day, because I've got a long night ahead of me for that night.
Yeah,
and of course, Monday we'll see what happens. I think there's supposed to be a stream that happens with the derails.
Oh yeah, you guys always
you
do
guys.
Use guys. You do your Monday thing. That's right.
Yeah. It's where we talk about everything and nothing.
We do the thing, the thing.
Yeah. The thing. Yeah.
Thing. No chicks allowed.
Don't worry your pretty
that.
little head. Okay.
Yeah. I don't even come by the chat. I know my place.
You tell bitch ass back in the kitchen. Make me some pie.
She's got to make a bunch of pies for Tuesday, because it's going to be
there's
like
only one pie I need, Shiz.
oh
My
damn,
goodness.
With that, see you guys.
Schooners.
Thank y'all.
Schooner.
Whoa.